Tord says this too. And if Tord says it, you should really like, don't listen to me, listen to Tord. He's like, you know, you should always have the mindset that you can get better. And he's the best player in the world, I think, by almost anyone would agree with me. And he's still like, you know, I can get better. I still make mistakes in my games, but he goes back and looks at them and fixes them. And he refines his deck lists. He's willing to accept that maybe his deck was bad, his metagame prediction was bad. And you got to be just willing to accept that kind of thing. And that's how you get better.
Yeah. Yo, what up, guys? Welcome to Faded Town, #1 Pokemon podcast in the world. This is not our second attempt at this, I promise.
It's like our third attempt, dude.
All right, we're just. Why you gotta call me out like that? Anyways, if you haven't, if you're first time watching, this is our 1-on-1 series. I'm gonna change the name to this. 1-on-1 series sounds stupid. I don't know. Retrospect something. I don't know. I can't think of a good name right now. I was trying to think.
One-on-one sounds fine to me.
Oh.
Well, if you want my 2 cents about it, but you did fire me from the podcast.
That's true. I did fire you.
You don't really value my opinion anymore.
Exactly. You can leave a comment down below on what you guys think that this series should be called. But make sure you like, subscribe, leave a review on iTunes. Someone please leave me a review on iTunes. All right. I've been asking every week, hoping someone would do it. Still, no one has. If you do it, I'll give you $1. All right. Like always, every week, if you leave a comment or a review on iTunes, you have a chance to get on the show. This week we had Busted Spicy Nuts. He left a comment and a like, and he said first. So it's not easy, dude. Even if your name is Busted Spicy Nuts, you get on the show. All right. This week we got I don't know how to introduce this guy. He quit Pokestats. He got fired from Faded Town. He told me he was a pro player, and then he memes the whole community.
Disgraced former Pokestats kingpin. Now just.
I would nener say kingpin because at some point, people didn't even think you were the owner. So
yeah, everyone thought it was Luke.
Yeah, so kingpin's a stretch. All right, now you're on Undaunted. You have some type of team going.
Some type of something.
You're still in school, right? You didn't get fired from school?
In school.
All right.
I have not yet gotten fired from school.
Not
got
yet.
1 year plus 1 semester left. So
that's not too
still
bad.
grinding that. Yeah.
How you liking the COVID school? Is it? Are you still going to class, or are you chilling?
Yeah, no. So we've been lucky enough because I go to Suwannee in Tennessee. It's pretty remote, so we kind of just have our own like bubble, pretty much. So we're doing in-person classes for the most part. It was like a little bit on Zoom last semester. I had the kind of thing where you go like half the class goes on Zoom one day and goes in person the other day, and they like flip flop. But it is what it is. Like at least I get to have labs in person and shit. So
that's true. Yeah. Let's dive into why you quit Pokestats. Let's start there because I think everyone knows. No. I don't want to hear that. Anyways, everyone knows you as the stat guy for I don't know the last 4 years or something, and then you make this big post about how you're giving it over to Cash and. You didn't give it to me, which is insane. I don't know how that didn't happen, but
yeah, I don't know what Pokestats would do without you showing up in the group chat like once every 5 weeks whenever there's like drama. Either there's a new set release on Pokebeach or there's community drama, and then you jump in the chat.
Correct. I mean, isn't that what leader does at this point? You know, I work in the shadows at this point. You know,
that's more or less what the chat is at this point.
But
it's just Bart sending memes to the chat now.
Yeah, there was some drama in the chat lately, but we could kind of I don't know why because I'm really not in the chat. I just showed up and that it was there. So we'll leave it at that. I blame you. I blame you and your stupid memes for that. But
sounds about right. But yeah, I didn't technically quit. I stepped down as the CEO, leader, president, whatever you want to call it. I gave it over to Cash because Cash has been doing the majority of the work on the site for like several months now at this point. He's been kind of running all the data pages, all the day-to-day stuff. So I just wanted to have more of a backseat role and be more of like a consultant because I still want to be involved. I still want to get the clout for it.
No clout. You're not getting it anymore.
No. But yeah, no, I still wanted to be involved with the whole thing, but I just didn't have, with school and everything, the time to keep it like going and still have it be like all the content that I wanted at the level I wanted. Whereas Cash has a lot more time and just dedication to do that at this point. So I just gave it over to him because I thought he'd do a better job with it. And I said, I'm just going to be like, advisory role with Pokestats now. And I want to focus more on Undaunted, the content creation over there, because it's not something that's, every day. It can be a little bit more sporadic, but still like really high quality stuff that we want to put out. Yeah. Whether it be periodic articles, YouTube videos, that kind of content. And then also just, I've been grinding a lot of online events too, because I really want to kind of improve myself as a player. I mean, I think I'm at the point where I'm a pretty solid player, but I'm certainly not what you would say like a great player or anything. And I want to get to that point. So I think just stepping back from stats and kind of taking, I only have so much time I can spend on Pokemon, and I want to be spending more of that time actually playing in events and just like practicing as a player. Maybe streaming more too is something I've been looking at doing.
That's a lot. So you're not gonna stream. I know you, Tate, but
I did stream. I streamed the other night. I streamed one of my tournaments. It's pretty fun, honestly. No. Or I streamed the Gauntlet.
Oh god. Oh yeah, you did. I came in there and I looked at it and I turned it off immediately.
You turned it off.
Turned it off immediately. I'm like, this is what we were waiting for. All right.
People got so fucking mad about the Gauntlet. It was so funny.
We gotta talk
People
about it.
So mad about it.
It got. I was completely lost. I'm like, what is going on, and why is everyone so mad? Like,
yeah, so it's like it was almost like I don't know. I wasn't even involved in the creation of it or anything. I was kind of just I got added in.
You're like the ringleader at this point, though.
Yeah. No, it was the Australians really that like it was Christian Hasbani that kind of made the deck, and some of the other Australians, and then a bunch of the various seniors that hang around with me. No,
don't act like that's not true. That's true.
Yeah, so we all kind of just decided we're gonna play this as a joke. I think we got like 12 or 13 people playing the deck in Hegster or something. It was a horrendous deck. It's awful. And the funniest thing to me is that there's still people that are like playing it, like trying to make it a meta deck or whatever. Like people are still on Gauntlet. I'm like, no, bro, the Gauntlet was a joke. It has 12 coin flip cards. It's not supposed to be a good deck. It's just like but the thing was that like if you flipped enough heads, you literally could beat anything. Like if you just flip all your catchers or hammers or whatever or turbo patch, and then if you flipped too many tails, you would just lose to everything too. So it's a double-edged sword. But it was really funny to just stream it and like have people lose their shit in the chat every time I flipped a coin.
Yeah.
Or have opponents get salty, like, oh, you flipped all 4 turbo patches. I'm like, well, sucks to be you, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's true though. I hate that. That's what like. You had hammers in there too, didn't you?
Yeah, it was hammer, catcher, and turbo patcher, the flip cards, and then me and Bradner were debating playing old PC as well. Would that be like just way too many flips?
16 flips.
16 flips. Yeah, well, old PC is 2 flips though, so it'd be 20
Oh god. What does that card even do?
It's a double coin flip, and if you flip both heads, it's dowsing machine. So the expected value, right, is you get 1 dowsing machine off if you play 4, but it's 4 slots.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
That's what we're talking about, dude. High level. At this point, that's high level gameplay in this format.
Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely.
So
because the thing I said in the chat was that people keep trying to break the format, and they respect the format too much. And the thing with the Gauntlet is that it did not respect the format. It just encapsulated everything that was wrong with the format, and that's why it was so funny.
It's true. I don't know. I haven't touched Standard. Like I've played a little bit, and when I do play, I literally just play Decidueye, and so I don't really have to play. Yeah. I literally, when I play online tournaments as Decidueye, I look at the other person's deck and go, oh, they got Age Slash. Well, you win.
You either win or lose. As soon as you open the Limitless page and you see the deck list, you know if you won or lost.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Which is kind of nice.
I mean, it's nice if you don't want to really play, but I don't know. I don't know. We talk about Standard a lot in this podcast, and how it's not developed and no one's putting real effort into the game at this point because no big reason to do it. And we see a lot of at least like one rogue deck a week. Like last week was Cinderace. The week before was Goldeen or Seeking or something. Yeah, it's like
now we got Pedro's deck too, the Senta Scorch Still Valley, which is actually pretty good. That deck's pretty good. I was testing it last night.
I think I miss that. I miss the development. You know, I think the more we talk about it and people listen, I think there might be more development and more people are gonna play. But
I think even with Scorch too, because I've been playing. I mean, I'm pretty much a Scorch one trick this format at this point because I've been playing that list that me and Cash and Thomas Brophy
have been pretty good.
Playing. Yeah, it's been like we have so many, like, I mean, they've got a couple wins. I had like a top 4 out of finals. So the list has been like really good. But like that's an example of something where we just kind of refine the list over time. It's mostly those two. I don't want to take too much credit for it. I've just been playing it. But I've at least been sticking with it because like a lot of people thought Scorch was, you know, either it's inconsistent or it doesn't beat Pika or whatever. But I think we've even been beating Eternatus like pretty consistently at this point, which I thought was a horrendous matchup, and we kind of figured out the strat for it. So I think there's like still, even though this isn't the best format, there's still like a reasonable degree of like, I feel like the better players should still be winning a lot, you know, of the time. Of course, there's still things like hammer flips that can just screw you over, but you know, that is what it is. And there's still like reasonable creativity with deck building or just like making, you know, a really solid deck. Like the one thing that bugs me is when I see these awful like ADP lists that keep going like 6-0 or like 7-1 and like make it in the cut or whatever, because like it is, I have this like running joke like in the Undaunted chat that is always the worst ADP lists that draw the nuts on you. They'll play like the worst like counts of consistency cards. It's like not consistent at all, and they'll just hit like, oh, I got my one swell like turn 1, I Marnie you, and I draw into like Altered Creation turn 1 off my
double
Marnie.
Hammer, land a ball.
Literally,
You're like, okay, welcome to the game. But I think
so that's the one thing that really bugs me is like having ADP, because it lets you get away with that, where like even if your list is just dog shit, you have like a broken card. So that's the one like we need to ban ADP or whatever thing that I think is wrong with the format. But like aside from that, I feel like most of the decks are like relatively healthy, I think, or promote pretty skillful gameplay for the most part. I think Eternatus is probably a little bit I don't know that Eternatus is that healthy for the game either, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think you make a good point when you do look at that center score list that you guys have been working on. You know, a lot of decks haven't got worked on. You know, like who's sitting here trying to make the best ADP list? Like no one. Like just no one's trying. I mean, you know.
Well, because one thing, I mean, it's very easy because we literally have a tournament every night of the week now, and most of them are hitting a couple hundred players. So they're not, you know, if you win one of these tournaments, it is like, you know, it's not a regional, but it's like a large league cup is what I've been kind of comparing it to. Maybe like a Sunday league cup at a regional or something. So, but it's very easy because we have one every day of the week. You can just go grab the winning list and kind of maybe play 3 games with it on ladder so you get a feel for it, and then you can probably just go win the next tournament with that same 60, because there's no real incentive to not do that. You know, you can just go grab Pedro's list or Azul's list or whoever it is from their last top cut and just run it back with that. And there's not a lot of evolution in the meta in the sense that there's new decks being developed that frequently. It's more just kind of a cycle of, okay, this deck did well, I'm gonna pick like, okay, Eternatus did well, now everyone plays Colossal, and then now everyone like plays, you know, gets off Colossal, goes back to ADP or whatever, and then people play Eternatus again, and
But I think it's good to see that if a deck is worked on, even in a format like this, it gets better. I think a lot of people aren't working on decks. I think they're doing exactly what you said. They taking a list that did well and just playing it every week. And like I use this example all the time is freaking Dan. Dan's like, I'm just playing Lost March or whatever it is. the end of time, and it's like it's hard to argue with people that are like, oh, this format sucks when people are doing stuff like that. But it's just the way I call it the low effort era, and
well, and it's fine too because everything's such low stakes, right? Because you can literally sit in your bed and play a tournament every night of the week, you know? So it's not like, okay, I have, we got one regional a month or something. I really have to test and do well at this like one big event. It's literally just, I can take, if you want to take a 3-day break, that's fine. You can just get right back into it and keep grinding events every day or whatever you want to do. And there's no, I mean, another thing, like there's no travel, aspect to it. You can just sit at home, so you don't have to spend money on that. You don't have to get burnt out like flying across the country every weekend. So I think that's one thing that's like also just disincentivizes people from really putting in the work testing, because the stakes are just not that high with online tournaments.
I agree. I think that's great. I think a lot of players are becoming restless. I believe Players Cut 3 will be the most competitive any tournament that has been played yet, because people are finally just like sinking into like, oh, we're not going back. Like, there's no we're just good. This is what we got, so let's play. And I'm in that too. Like I didn't really do Player Cup 1 or Player Cup 2, and I'm like, oh well, there's no options here, so Player Cup 3 I'm gonna try. So
no, I didn't play Players Cup 1 because I think Azul made that video, right? So I was kind of on that whole, I was on board with that, like, does this not play it. Players Cup 2 I was kind of settling in, where I was like, all right, this is kind of our tournament circuit for the foreseeable future in terms of actual support from TPCI. So I at least, like, I grinded. I got like top 50 NA, and then I went like 0-2 drop in the actual event with a shitty ADP list, and then I just like went and like did other shit for the rest of my day, and was like, all right, that was a better use of my time probably than playing ADP.
It sucks. It's just like how tournaments are, but I don't know. There's ups and downs to that. Like, you didn't travel to an event and go 0-2. You didn't go. It's like
No, it was literally like, well, that sucks. I hit like 2 Eternatus decks that sacked me, and then now I'm just gonna go, do my homework or whatever.
Back to my normal life. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is. I mean, there's different ways to take it. I miss the travel, but some people are super down for just chilling.
Well, we've all been. I mean, everyone in every chat I'm in is just like, dude, I cannot wait until we get the first regional back. It's gonna be like everyone's gonna be there, because we all just like, I mean, everyone just misses all their friends from across the country or across the world or whatever. Anywhere. The whole just, hanging out in the hotel or the B&B or whatever, the restaurants, getting drunk after or whatever, and just staying up till 2 a.m. on Friday night, figuring out your 60th card or whatever. Everyone misses that a lot, I think, and you just don't have that right now. So
it's gonna be
like this.
I hope there's not a
like,
cap. I hope they don't cap it, dude. If they cap it, it's gonna be.
It depends on where they put it, right? They're gonna have to find some huge ass convention center. It's gonna hold all of us sweaty assholes.
They go, all right, 500 people. It's gonna be like, oh my god. The freaking Nashville closed all over again.
Cost $200 to get.
Oh yeah, regional. That's what I would not. I would not doubt that the price of a regional goes up after this. That's just how I feel. Like, I don't want to shit on anyone or talk shit about anything, but I feel that's how things work around here. I could see it being like a normal $70 or something, but hopefully
I think it's gonna be really cool to see like how much regionals end up popping off, because I really feel like there's been such an increase in like just awareness of TCG in the past few months. Like literally every day, like I'll go onto the Pokestats Twitter and we've got like 50 new followers. Like, it's insane. And it's not like because we tweeted anything that went huge. It's just people like find the account and they're just like, well, here's like Pokemon TCG stuff, I'm gonna click follow. So it's just kind of growing organically because there's more people coming into the game, right? And I think that's really cool to see. Obviously all the big like Twitch people, the collecting side, but there's people coming over from like Magic, from Yu-Gi-Oh, from VGC, all that kind of stuff. Getting into TCG competitive now, which is really cool.
I'm always for growth, and last episode I put in the description all these resources that a new player can use to get into the competitive game, and I'm just gonna leave them down there. So every episode, there's YouTube channels, there's Facebook groups, there's Twitters, there's article sites, it's just all in the description. I don't like. Yep, just go do it. Like, it's awesome.
And like even playing in tournaments, I literally every night there's always 3 or 4 people in every Discord server like, hey, this is my first tournament, and for the most part, I think people are pretty helpful, which is good. I always try to say, if someone's got a question, I try to help them out and like not be a dick to them, because I want people to even if their list just plays 4 Hop and 4 PokeKid, it's their first tournament, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, so they'll get there. Yeah, but I think that's something. I think that's something I would encourage people to remember is like we all, like someone found my old like Verbank post from like 2016 when I started, where I asked like, is my old like 2009 Versus Seeker legal or something? Can I use it? But I was like this really like like pure post with like punctuation and capital letters.
And you got the response was like, it was probably some fucking scumbag response of like, obviously, dude.
No, but that's the thing though. The replies on it were just like, judges being like, yeah. Well, so good. I was like, well, if that's how people treated me in 2016, like, who am I to like? Yeah. Even though it's fun sometimes to like make fun of someone's like shitty, binder drop list that they played in Limitless or whatever, whatever. But like, if there's people in the server like, hey, this is my first tournament, they messed something up. Like, I've had people, forget to check in on limit lists and stuff like that because they don't know. And I always just remind them, like, don't take your win that way. Like, it's like, right. Sure, yeah, they got to remember to check in, but like, cut them some slack if they've never done this before, right? Like, don't be the person that takes your win because they forgot to check in or whatever it is, or like, that kind of thing. So
not me. I don't do that, guys.
I mean, well, if it's someone that knows their shit, like I'm just taking the win because they should, don't be on top of that, right? That's part of the tournament. But like what I'm saying is, if it's a new player, cut them some slack because we've got people coming into the game and like
I gotta start joining the Discord.
Yeah,
I don't join the Discord.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to. You can just look at your limit list or whatever. It's not like you have to be in the Discord. But I don't know. I just like helping out new players and stuff like that. I mean, because I'm also like, well, I've always like, been kind of like a person that just likes to help out or like, teach or whatever. Because I think that's probably my future is I do want to go into teaching. And I've had a lot of teachers and professors and friends and stuff say that's kind of like, that's what I'm good at. So I kind of want to like keep up with that role in Pokemon too, right? Just be someone that people know. And we've talked about this on Undaunted too, because everyone on the team really feels the same way, that we all want to be people that new players can kind of turn to and be like, all right, what do these guys have to say? And not be people that, people don't respect, right? Yes. Or that no one gives a shit what we have to say. Like, we want to be kind of all upstanding members of the community.
I think that's just good for like the community as a whole. I think we push that a lot on this podcast, where we're trying to put out, like, we might say a lot of dumb stuff, and it might be funny, we might joke a lot, but at the end of the day, if you're watching like a Pokemon breakdown, like, we're doing our best to give you the best content that we can. And especially for new players, if you're a new player and you're watching one of those episodes or even stuff like this, like, these are more deep dives into like people in the community, but like the breakdowns are we do a little research, we look at everything that happened in Pokemon the week before, and we try to put it towards someone that, if they have never played Pokemon before, like, and they're listening to this, how does this help them? And that's why, like, we leave the resources down there and all this, because at the end of the day, the community is like everything. So like, growing that and being nice to people, I think it's just like the number one thing to do. Like, I at one point I think the Pokemon community was really shitty. I think it was really shitty, and I think it's got a lot better. Like,
you think so? I think it might have gotten worse since I started. Yeah, but I think that's just like, the nature of Discord servers and Facebook groups and all that shit.
If you dive into that,
Well, because I don't think that Pokemon is worse than any other gaming community out there. I think they all have like plenty of shitty people that just. But the thing that I've noticed, and I always try to keep this in mind, and again we've talked about this on Undaunted too, but the people that rise to the top are always almost always like not the bad people in the community. Like I was thinking the other day, like you look at kind of your big three content creators for competitive, you got like Azul, Mahone, and Tord, right?
Yeah.
And those three guys are all great, like no problems, super nice people. Like if you hit them up, they'll be nothing but nice to you 99% of the time, right? Like, and that shows in their content, and that's why they have 300 400 viewers on Twitch every time they stream, right? And like, so it's important that like that. I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where we have like a perfect community where everything is like roses and daisies, right? Like that's because that's just not. It's not even a gaming community thing. It's just anytime you have a group of people all with a common interest. It's not like everyone is going to be nice to each other all the time. But I think it's really reassuring that kind of the people we've elevated to the highest positions in the game are honestly just some of the best people in the community.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
And I think a lot happens where in this, especially I think in any community, I think negativity is pointed out a lot more than positivity. So especially on Twitter, if you go on Twitter and just look at Pokemon, I think people call people out for negative stuff a lot more than they call people out for positive stuff. And that's just, I think that's just the nature of the beast, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I'm a person too that like I talk a lot of shit on Twitter, but it's generally with people that I know can handle it, right? Because like that's kind of just part of my personality. Is like, first of all, I'm very competitive, and second of all, I just like to make jokes on the internet. But like you'll see me riffing back and forth with like it might be Danny, Cash, any of the Undaunted guys. Like we all just roast the shit out of each other, but that's just part of because we're all friends, and that's like the nature of the way our friendship works. A lot of it is we roast each other, right? So I think that's important to like. I've seen some instances on Twitter where, I guess on Facebook too, but mostly on Twitter, with people just being like, I don't want to say like getting too sensitive or too offended, because I'm careful about that, because I don't want to sound like one of those people that's like, oh, are you triggered or whatever.
It's tough, but I know what you're saying.
No, but there's a lot of like people like to kind of make a mountain out of a molehill sometimes, where someone will say something that's like a little edgy, and then people will just blow it up into like a huge thing. And I don't know, it's one of those I don't know, it's one of those weird things about sometimes you say something online that you would never say in person, and you feel just feel comfortable saying it online. Like I've seen instances where like a player will type something, say in the Limitless match chat, right? Something inflammatory, and they would never say that if they were sitting across from a physical person at a regional. So I think also like, okay, probably don't do that, but also at the same time, if that happens, like you gotta you gotta get over it to some extent, right? It's like we're all playing a game, and if someone calls you I don't know, someone says, haha, suck my dick because they drew the stones on you or whatever, like, okay, that's fine. Just beat them in the next tournament, You don't have to post about it on Twitter and cry about it. It's one of those, like...
I think people do that too much. I agree.
Yeah, I think
it makes the community look bad, because you get flooded with stuff. I've literally stopped following people that do that, so I don't, like, I get it. There are toxic stuff in the community, and like we should point it out. It's the only way to get rid of it. But it's like sometimes I just don't want to talk about it. Like,
I just truly can't be bothered to like care that much.
Exactly.
Like I'm like what would happen if someone like, say I'm playing in an online tournament, right? Say someone like, rips the stones off my stamp to 1. They beat me. They have a little pop off on their stream or whatever. I'm not gonna like get upset about it because like it's a game, and like maybe they got lucky, or like in some cases maybe they outplayed me at some point and I missed it, and I should go back and like use that to try to get better, right? And I shouldn't waste all of my energy making a call out post for them on Twitter because like I'm just gonna go do something else with the rest of my day, you know?
Right. I mean, I'm more likely to pop off in person, dude. So like,
yeah,
what up?
I love that too. Like, yeah. I love that. I remember like one of my favorite. I don't know if you remember that. I don't even know if there's a video of it, but there's definitely pictures of it. There was that match between Russ Lepar and Kyle Sablehouse from like a regional or something. And they were at table 1. They were just like roasting the shit out of each other for the whole match. I know there's pictures of it because like Russ is like leaning back in his chair, like laughing. Kyle's like, I don't, but like I miss that kind of stuff at tournaments when you sit across from someone you know, or you know, you hit a teammate, you hit a friend or something, and you're just sitting there.
Yes.
You're both 5-1, so it doesn't really matter like if you get knocked out or something, or like you can't get knocked out, so you're just there like bantering. Yeah. And that's something that really gets lost online too, because you just don't have that physical interaction. You can't read people's faces. There's no like, you know, physical pop off at you know, you draw out of the N or whatever it is, as like you said. So I just love watching that at Worlds too. Like you watch all the world champions, you know, they get up, they got like fist pump, they're so hyped. Like you don't see that online too much. You do because if you watch Pedro, stream, he gets up and dances. I love it. Yeah. So.
It's great. Like I'm always an advocate. That's what like. I've never, because I played pretty much sports my whole life. I played baseball pretty much my whole life, and I've never seen that stuff as like malicious. I don't like that is not malicious. Like I remember when I played the stupid Blastoise list, and Isaiah fucking what'd he do? He delinquated my hand down to 0. Well, when I had a supporter in my hand, and then I top deck via Seeker, slammed that shit like boom, Archie's Kingdra. It's like that stuff is hot. Like I can't stand when people just go like, oh yeah, Pokemon. It's like you shouldn't do that. I'm like, dude, the game is already not exciting to watch. So let's if something cool does happen, let's act like you did something. You know. You flip 4 heads on your hammers, dude. I would rather you go pop off and like, instead of going, sorry. Like I hate the sorries. I hate the sorries. Do not sorry me ever. No, please don't sorry me. All right, it is what it is. No, you did it.
It's kind of this whole thing with like people talk about wanting to grow Pokemon as an esport or a gaming community or whatever. Well, if you want that, you have to just accept that there's always going to be competitive people, and there's going to be, you know, you're going to have people that like to trash talk and that like to pop off, and you have that in any game, any sport, anything that's competitive. You have that in chess, for God's sake, right? If you watch Magnus and Hikaru like going at it, roasting each other, right? So you gotta, like, if you want the game to grow, you know, you're gonna have to accept that people are gonna you know, get competitive, and they're gonna get it's all got to be in good fun, of course, but you know, you can't expect everyone to be, you know, perfect sunshines to each other all the time. And I think that's part of the fun of the game. Like, it's kind of fun to have someone be a heel every now and then.
Yeah. And like there's always there's a line, and you don't cross that line. And
no,
I think most of the time people don't cross that line, and if they do, there's usually a media apology. I remember Russell went too far on this kid once, and immediately he apologized. But it did become like a huge thing on Hey Fonte, and like Russell runs Hey Fonte, and he let that post go. He let it go. He didn't take it down. Like, so I've always respected Russell for stuff like that, because he's never. Yeah. I mean, you either love him or hate that kid, and he's never gonna shy away from his thoughts, and he's gonna pop off, and he's gonna talk shit, and sometimes it goes too far, and he'll apologize, but it's okay.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I'm never really anyone who follows me on Twitter probably has seen this, but like if I feel strongly about something, I'm not gonna like water down my stance on it. I'm just gonna say what I want to say, and like if you want to, I mean, I've got however many followers I've got, right? That's people that seem to care about what I'm saying. So if you don't want to see it, then just unfollow, I guess, right? It's like I'm just gonna whether it's whether it's Pokemon or whether it's like political shit or whatever it is, like I'm just gonna, it's there on my feed and you don't have to look at it. Right. So but I also, like, at the same time, every time I talk about this, I feel like I'm going too far down the road of like being one of those like free speech like triggered guys. I'm absolutely not trying to be, because I really, like, if I do say something that's like unwarranted, I'm gonna apologize for it, right? If I actually like, so it's like I'm not. I don't know. It's a difficult. It's a weird topip. It's also, and like I said, it just goes back to like sometimes you need to just turn off your computer. It's as simple as that. Like there's people that just lose sight of the fact that we are all playing a Japanese children's card game, and sure, some people have a career out of it, and sometimes there's thousands of dollars on the line, but like it is a game, and you don't have to take it that seriously.
I hate that child word.
I use it ironically. Like it's certainly, I mean, everyone in these tournaments is like 20 years old, right? It's like it's clearly not
20 or older,
game.
pretty much. Like we have Bradner and like Will Jenkins.
Bradner's like 10 years old.
Yeah, dude. Every time he's on the podcast, I think he gets younger. I don't know. He was like, he's like, I swear he told me he was a senior, and then like last episode he's like, oh, I become a senior next year. I'm like, wait a minute, he's just like de-aged under here.
Bradner and his milk, man.
Yep. Oh god, I almost kicked him off the I almost kicked him off the podcast for that thing. Eating cereal with a fork. God,
yeah, I don't know what that was about. We still Forkner.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's not even the. He's had other like takes too.
He's had bad ones,
food takes. And he's had some good ones too. He's not completely irredeemable.
If it's about Pokemon, then yeah, he's pretty good. But outside of Pokemon, Radner's sus, dude. Super sus.
maybe he'll grow out of it. Maybe it's just a kid. Maybe it's just a
maybe he's young. Yeah. Oh. Hit him with the
Dude, I don't know. I've said this before. I remember it was on this podcast, but my tweet where I said seniors is a mindset.
Yes.
That's so applicable to Pokemon. It's not an age division. It's just a philosophy.
I agree. I think
there's a lot of 30-year-olds playing the game that are seniors.
Yes, correct. Let's kind of let's switch lanes. Let's talk about this Undaunted thing.
Okay.
Because before you were doing Pokestats, you were on Team Gas. Obviously, we don't need to get into what happened to Team Gas. I think that we already kind of talked about what that is. The last hour basically is what happened to Team Gas. Because you were, I mean, Persic was on Gas too, right? So like you guys kind of went off and
the holdovers from Team Gas that are still sticking together on Undaunted, it's me, Frank, Lee, and Kenny. Okay. And then we also have Kirk Dubé, we have Dustin Zimmerman and Britt Pybus also rounding out the team. So it was another kind of Frank spearheaded project if he kind of brought us all together. Because a couple, like especially Dustin and Britt, I just was not as close with as some of the other guys on the team. But like now, we've all been, in the chat for a few months now, all been testing together, playing tournaments together. So we're all pretty close, and that was the goal, that we all, because Frank knew, even if not everyone has met each other, in person. If he takes 6 other guys that are just like good people and have a common philosophy around the game and around life in general, they're all going to hit it off, right? And that's what's happened. So our goal is like the way Frank put it, I think was really good, saying how a lot of teams in Pokemon have kind of just been like a group of good players, but a lot of times they fall apart because there's kind of a lack of cohesion. They might not necessarily be friends. They might just be focused on, winning the next regional, but maybe not necessarily focused on like testing and learning and growing all together. I think there's kind of a lot of one person makes a list, the other ones kind of argue over 2 cards in the list for 2 days, and then they all play the same 60 at the tournament, right? But there's not a lot of interaction beyond that with a lot of teams that have existed before. Okay. And we really wanted to be more than just a team and more of almost like just a whole brand, like an organization, an identity kind of. And this came across, Dustin did a phenomenal job with our logo. For those that don't know, Dustin is a professional graphic designer. So if you look at our logo, there's no Pokeball, there's no card, anything that would indicate at first glance that we're just a Pokemon team, because we really wanted to go for that like esports branding where you can throw this on, a hoodie, a t-shirt, or even any other merch, throw it on a phone case, whatever you want, and just have that clean like esports style branding. So that kind of symbolizes, I think, what we wanted to do, where just have something that's more than just a store-sponsored assemblage of a few good players that splits up after 6 months. We really wanted to be like an organization that's going to set the tone for what teams could look like in Pokemon in the future.
Yeah, I think I know most of the guys on the team, all good guys, and I think it's a lot better place for you. I'm still confused how Kirk. I thought Kirk was done. Is he playing?
No,
or is he just
he's
personality?
He's worked on some decks with us. Okay. He grinded for Players Cup too. I think he just whiffed it. But yeah, he's planning to. I think, I don't know if he's going to grind for the next Players Cup or what, but he definitely wants to be involved with casting. Kirk was huge. He actually spearheaded our. We have a partnership now with TCG Player, so we're doing articles for TCG Player Infinite. So Kirk was kind of the man behind setting that up. So we're super grateful to him for kind of getting our name out there that way. Because we knew if we wanted to kind of grow and get our name out there, we probably needed an association with one of those bigger brands out there, whether it be a card shop or one of those sleeves, mats, merch, or just TCG Player, obviously. One of the bigger TCG sites out there. So
I think it's
but
yeah, we need something. I'm still gonna ride or die on this. I had the biggest deal with TCG Player ever, and I turned it down. When we were on Soccer Scoop, they literally gave me like had like an interview with them, with the guys at TCG Player, and they were like, because right now they have like an affiliate program that you get like 5% or something. They were gonna give me 45% of any sales with my code, and it was some crazy shit. And I was like, and then we quit making videos, and I'm like, I can't commit to anything, so I had to basically just shut it down. But hey, we're back. Come on, where's my deal now? I know we only have like fucking 200 subscribers or something now, but come on, guys. We are the number one Pokemon podcast. We need something. But
I don't know. Maybe ever since I'm not doing the podcast anymore, maybe you guys took a hit. Maybe that's the reason.
I think you came after. I'm just playing. Yeah. We'll see. I think it's really cool. I think I always compare everyone to DDG, and I think that aspect of Pokemon is the right way to go now. I think you need to find a group of guys.
And I mean, one thing I always tell people, if they're starting out and people that want to grow competitively, is it's really important to find a testing group. But that doesn't mean that you have to like overthink that, right? It can just be, whether it be a couple locals or just, I mean, it's mostly online these days, the people you're probably meeting in tournaments. But I know there's groups of people that just only know each other from online, and they've kind of formed these unofficial testing groups, and they've been actually churning out like really good results or really refined lists coming from that. And that's cool to see. And I think it's a testament to how, even though Pokemon obviously is not a team game, it still pays to have a team around you. And it can be, whether it's Undaunted, like an actual, we've got a whole like organization, a whole branding, it's official, or whether it's literally just like 3 of my friends and I are a testing group, super low key. it's either way, it's still important to surround yourself with like-minded people that are actually going to put in the time is what's important, right? Like you need people that are actually going to test with you, actually going to respond to your messages, or Discord call you and actually talk about shit. And if you don't have that, you want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that are going to support you. Because if you're hanging out with people that just are leaving you on red all the time, never testing, just stealing your 60 that you throw in the chat, right? Like, what are you doing? That's not good for you. It's not good for them. But you gotta surround yourself with people that are gonna move you forward in the game.
Right. I think a lot of people listen to this and listen to podcasts where they talk about team making, and it's like you gotta have the best player. It's like this game is so you're not far behind.
Would you? Because like.
You're not.
Would anyone have considered Cash and Thomas to be top players? I don't think so. But they've created clearly one of the best lists in this format, one of the most refined lists that just keeps winning and winning and winning. Right. So
that's what I'm saying.
They've certainly proved that like you don't need to be someone that's won in internationals in order to actually like have consistent results. So I think that should be inspirational for new players, right? Like you should never expect to be good right off the bat, but you should also have hope that if you actually put in the effort and time and you have a good support group around you, you can get pretty good pretty quick these days.
I think there's so many resources, and for you to take the resources that are online and take people that like your 3 or 4 local buddies maybe that you guys don't have any recognition in the game. It does not take long for people to notice you. It takes one regional or something for people to go, oh, these guys are good. Like that's all it takes, and you guys will grow together. Like you don't need Azul on your team to be good at this game. Like if you sit there and grind, I mean it helps. Don't get me wrong, it helps, but don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged that you don't know anyone that has success in this game, because it takes one event for you to know somebody, for you to be that person who has success in this game. And
that, I mean, that's what's so great about just having a group, having a team, because I know on Undaunted, like there have been a lot of moments this format, because the 2 guys that have been really grinding the most is me and Lee. We've been playing the most events, like a few nights a week. So there have been times where, like Dustin dropped in the chat the other day and was asking me for, all my matchup notes for Centiskorch or whatever, like how do you beat all these certain things? What's your strategy? And Dustin is a guy who's top 4 worlds. Like he's very plainly, by any statistical measure, a better player than me. But because I've been the one that's actually testing this particular format and playing it way more, he felt comfortable enough in my skill as a player in this format to take my advice and just run with it and just pick up and run and play a tournament that night. And that's a huge confidence booster for anyone who like you always want to listen to players that are better than you, right? But you also you're going to find that if you put in the work, you're going to have players even who might have more results than you. They're going to be in your DMs like, hey, how'd you come up with that card in your list that you top 8'd with? How did you handle that particular matchup? I'm not quite seeing the strategy. And I think that's a huge confidence booster when you start, once you get one result, you got more people paying attention to you, taking you seriously, and then that kind of snowballs from there, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So that's really cool.
Like in my testing group, I'm not very active. I mean, it's almost like the Pokestat. No, I'm just playing. It's not that bad, but it's more like I'm just not motivated right now. But if I do go to play, there are a couple guys that don't have the same recognition as I do in this game. That no matter what they say, I believe 100%. They've been playing this format. I know their capabilities, and they grind. So if they put a deck in the chat and I decide I'm gonna play, I'll take that and I'll go, all right, I'm gonna need info, and I like it doesn't like there is no egos. It's literally just like at this point I'm trash, so I need how do you win this matchup? Boom, 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 and like when you have a group of people that are willing to do stuff like that, it's amazing because it doesn't matter how good you are. Like if you don't play, like the guy that does play is infinitely smarter than you at that point. So you got to take all the advice you can get at that point.
You're exactly right. And while we're on the topic of like advice for new players or whatever, like one of the very few things that makes me reluctant to like be helpful is when I see people acting like they, not necessarily even acting like they know everything, but like acting like they're a voice of authority in cases when they're not, right? Because you've got a lot of players in these Discord servers that are kind of just, you know, they complain too much about something like luck, or, you know, oh, I had bad draws, my opponent got lucky, and then I look at their list and their list is awful. And so that's something that really grinds my gears, is like, well, maybe your list is inconsistent, or a lot of times what it is you just made a sequencing error, or you threw away a card you shouldn't have. And like people are way too quick to just, even though there is luck in the game, and especially in this format there's luck in the game, it's still like you should always have the mindset that you did something wrong, because if you just blame luck every time you lose, you are never going to get better, because you're never going to actually go back and look for whether you did something wrong. You're just going to say, oh, my opponent, you know, drew Sycamore off stamp to 1, right? So I lost. But, well, maybe there was something you could have done earlier. And so whenever I play a tournament, I always try, I mean, I don't record my games every time, but sometimes I will just record a couple games and I'll go back and see, was there anything I could do different? Sometimes I even take notes or something. If I'm really feeling like being serious about it. But you never want to get complacent, because, and I see people do this on Twitter, I see people do it in Discord servers, and it just really makes me like it makes me want to help these people less, right? And give them tips or whatever, because they're just not, I know that they're not going to listen, right? They're just going to blame luck and be satisfied with that, and then they're going to keep going 0-2 draw.
Right.
And like you always, and Tord says this too, and if Tord says it, you should really, like, don't listen to me, listen to Tord. He's like, you know, you should always have the mindset that you can get better. And he's the best player in the world, I think, by almost anyone would agree with me. And he's still like, you know, I can get better. I still make mistakes in my games, but he goes back and looks at them and fixes them. And he refines his deck lists. He's willing to accept that maybe his deck was bad, his metagame prediction was bad. And you got to be just willing to accept that kind of thing. And that's how you get better.
Yeah, I agree. I think the word luck, don't get me wrong, it's a card game. There's a lot of variables in this game. There's some aspect of luck in this game. But these players, especially in IRL events, the consistency of players doing well tells you that there's something more than luck. If it was just luck, everyone would... It would be more vast. You wouldn't have Jimmy Pendarvis with 4 regional wins in a row. All right?
Right.
Like that stuff, it's just not it. And I think you're right.
And people...
Go ahead.
People like to also like use this to shit on online tournaments and say that, you know, some of the people that have only really seen success online, a lot of people think they're just going to get their asses handed to them when regionals come back or whatever. And I'm not convinced that that's the case. I think if you're consistently top cutting online, you're probably going to be consistently day 2ing at regionals and stuff if you attend those when they come back. Because a lot of these players have just been unable to really go to that many events outside of locals, so people just don't know them. But like I tweeted about this the other day, but there certainly are differences between IRL and online, but they're not big enough to the point where I think that if you're good online, you wouldn't also be good in person. Like you're playing the same game, right? And just because there's certain things like open deck lists, or like you don't need to shuffle, so time management is a bit less of a thing, you're still making the same sequencing decisions, resource management decisions, you know, knockout prize mapping or whatever. And those skills still translate over to real life. And if you're consistently doing those things over and over again and winning, or, you know, making top cut, I see no reason to believe why you wouldn't also be a good player IRL. You know?
I agree to a certain degree, because I am a personal believer in the atmosphere being so much different compared to staying at home that
Mhm.
I think people crumble under certain situations that
Well,
at home they
that is
don't.
true. That one thing is I think people might not be prepared for that full, like, you're playing a whole day of Pokemon, because these online tournaments can just be over in a matter of hours, right? So it is gonna probably just be a fatigue thing of,
There's
you got to make
fatigue.
sure.
There's
Yeah,
nervousness.
yeah,
Sitting playing against Azul online is a lot less. Like you don't get as nervous as if Azul's sitting in front of you. Like
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that's true a little bit. Like I said, I also said this on Twitter. Like online, everyone is just a name on a screen.
correct.
But at the same time, there is still a little bit of, if I'm in a stream match, even if it's online, I still like pick it up a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm on stream. I really gotta like make sure I don't screw up because I
Yeah.
want to look good. And even if I hit, like, I play against Pedro in a tournament the other day, and I was like, it was round 3, and like my first 2 matches, I just played against people I didn't know, and I was like, whatever. And round 3, I see Pedro's name, so I was really like, okay, like zone in. We're gonna like, I'm not gonna like make any stupid misplays against Pedro, and I didn't, and I beat him. So
I beat Azul
but
too.
it really does like make you, and I think that's good. I mean, that's good for the game.
Yeah.
The fact that literally anyone can just play in a tournament, and round 1 you might just hit Azul or Bradner or Pedro, whoever's playing that night. I think that's good for the game that can happen.
I think it's good. I just think the response is a lot different. I think your response of I gotta play better and let's focus here is a lot easier response online than it is in person. That's just
I
my
think
personal
that's
belief.
true.
I
think
you
I think
could
you're right.
like you could. I'm not saying. I'm saying online tournaments. These people could come in to IRL and dominate. It just matters. And like I've said, I've been preaching this since March that the skill gap can be shrunk so hard in these times. And I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. And I think you pointed. I think one of the things you pointed out earlier was looking at your own games. Like when you tape your own games and watch them, and I think Bradner was the first person that told me that he does that. And like, I don't think anyone works harder than Bradner at this game. I think Bradner is the hardest working player. He's young.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a lot of spirit to him.
Yeah.
So,
he's got a lot of spirit, and he's more. He's young, and he's driven. And I think for a player that young and that new, like we were talking 2017 format, and he didn't understand the cards. So he's like that new to be that successful. That is just pure working hard. There's nothing. There's nothing more than that. Sure, there's talent, but when you work that hard, for someone to be that, like, oh, I'm gonna record my own games and look and see what I did wrong, and be only like a year into the game or something, it's just that's the best approach to go at it. If you want to be great at this game, you can. Like, there's nothing stopping you. There's so many resources. There's you find a good testing groups and do everything that you can to improve yourself at this game, and you can. But people don't want to take those steps.
Yeah. Well, it's a game, and this is true of anything, but it's a game that rewards grinding. And so the more work you put in testing and actually like really focusing, like serious testing too. And I honestly, I think like it's probably better if you just do like 1 hour of really just zoning out distractions and focusing on a few games rather than just playing Pokemon for a whole day. I think the former is probably going to help you get better than just kind of throwing on some music and mindlessly playing ladder. I think like 1 hour of serious testing is probably more helpful. And it's because like, like I played tennis in high school, and tennis really just like rewards doing the same motion over and over again. Like I wanted to hit really good serves, so I would just go stand there and I would just hit serves into the empty court for an hour, right? And I would just get that muscle memory. And like obviously Pokemon is not a physical sport, but it's the same idea of if you do something over and over again, like if you play a matchup over and over again, right, you know what to do every time you hit that matchup. And even if you hit like a weird scenario, your opponent has a weird tech, or you have weird draws or something, or there's just a weird board position, if you've played more games prior to that, there's a better chance that you've run into that situation before and you know how to navigate it.
Yeah.
And I know that Tord, for instance, like plays, when he takes a deck to a regional or an IC or whatever, he's logged definitely dozens and usually hundreds of games with the deck.
Yeah.
So he has like a perfect idea of what to do in just about any situation in any matchup.
Yeah, I think you're right. Good practice, if it's only short, is great. But I'm also a believer that a grind of just playing the deck over and over.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt you. It's like it's
well,
kind of like solo queue.
Yeah. I mean, I'm certainly saying it's still a grind. I just think, like one thing I was actually debating about with some other players is, whenever I play a tournament, I always have to, because I know that some people play tournaments with music on or something, and I cannot do that because I will find myself like, I'll be singing along to the lyrics or whatever. I've even tried to put like orchestra shit on, and I'm a trumpet player, like I do orchestra, so I even get into that, right? Because I'll be like humming the music or whatever. So it needs to be like quiet so that I can actually focus. And so I think if you're just mindlessly playing ladder, but you're like texting your friends and like watching Netflix on your other monitor or something, you're prone to be making misplays. And then if you're just doing that for a whole day and you're just making misplays over and over again, even if it's like just little micro decisions, then that's not helping you, because then you're going to hit a tournament and you're going to be like, well, I've played 50 games with this deck, but I fucked up in all of them. So it doesn't help me, does it?
Yeah,
right?
I think, that's right. If you are going to take it serious, if you're going to practice and you don't have a testing partner and you're just going to grind ladder, then take it serious. Take it serious and try to win every game as clean as you can, and note down the stuff that you did wrong in games, and that's the way to do it. Don't mindlessly do it if you're trying to get better. Obviously, you can mindlessly play if you want to just mindlessly play. But if you're trying to get better,
write stuff down too, for sure, is a huge one. Like just have a Google Doc or even a notebook. Just write shit down. That is helpful.
It's it's insane how much of an advantage you have if you've played a matchup multiple times compared to someone who hasn't. When I go into tournaments, right now, I don't even know who I'm playing. I feel it's such a disadvantage because I don't know the matchups. I don't know the matchups, and it feels weird because usually I know the matchups, especially when playing in a big event. I'm like, okay, this is what I do against this. I don't know at this point, so it's bad. It's bad. It feels bad, and it's such a easy thing to do. Like if you get a buddy, there's 90 billion different lists of the same deck, ADP or whatever. Get him to play that list in whatever list you're playing, and just play out the matchup 5-10 times. And the advantage you get from just doing that is significant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we can kind of wrap it up on that.
We had a couple good rants in there.
Yeah, it's good rants, and I think a lot of it has to do with just growing as a player in this game, especially because you quit Pokestats and you're becoming the greatest Pokemon player ever eventually.
That's the goal, though. I always say, anytime I go into a tournament, my goal is to win, right? And if I don't achieve that goal, obviously I did something wrong, and I need to go back and fix that, right? And maybe it is true sometimes that there's nothing you could have done better, and you just dead drew, and you whatever. It can happen, but you always have to have the mindset that there was something that you did wrong, because otherwise you're never going to want to improve. And I think that's the most important advice I can give to anyone who's starting out and wants to improve competitively.
Yeah, I think I've said this multiple times on the podcast. I don't know. I say a lot of stuff on this podcast, but I'm a fair believer that going into any tournament, you should think you're the best person in the room, even if you're not. But when you sit down, when you go in, that mindset is just so powerful. Being confident will carry you so much further than not being confident. It's crazy.
Certainly with the deck you're playing, you should feel like you are better than anyone else in the world at playing that deck, because you've grinded it and you know all the matchups, you know what every card in your deck does. That is how I want to feel every time I'm in a regional or something, right?
There's no better feeling than knowing when you sit across an opponent and he flips over his card, that you know exactly how this matchup should go and what you need to do. And it takes that person not practicing a little bit for you to be this much,
like
this bitch advantage. Like, it's over.
Exactly.
It's over. Like, it might be a 50-50 matchup, but you practiced it, and that changes it from a 50-50 to a 70-30 because he really doesn't know the matchup. Like, there's always those factors, and you should try to eliminate those factors for yourself. As much as you can.
And one more thing I just want to throw out there, I think, before we wrap it. Because I know I've given like a lot of advice on this episode just for like new players and shit, because that's something I really like doing. Like, I want that to kind of be something I'm known for in the game moving forward, right? I want to be like a voice people can turn to if they're trying to get better, if people that are just coming into the competitive scene. And I know that's true of everyone on Undaunted. Like, we want to be that organization where, you know, regardless of whether you just started playing a week ago or you've been playing for a few years, but you know, you want to kind of get to that next level. We all want to be people that you can just hit our DMs, like even just reply to us on Twitter or whatever, and we'll be, you know, just have advice for you or kind words for you. And like, I know I talk a lot of shit online and I talk a lot of shit on the podcast, but like, if you hit me up, I'm honestly kind of like just a big softie, you know, like just like, I don't want to be someone that, doesn't have respect in the game, because I always want to be helpful for new players or anyone who just wants advice on the game or on life or anything like that. Like, always feel free to hit me up. And I just want to be that kind of guy.
Dope. I think that's a perfect way to end it. I think that goes same for the three homies on Faded Town.
Yeah, I think so too. Y'all are good guys for sure.
I think we're all here just to make people play the game. We want more people playing the game, and there's the resources are out there to be great. Like, just put in the work, guys.
Absolutely.
You want to finish it out with any other shout outs? Pokestats, Undaunted.
I mean, I think I've pretty much given it throughout the course of the cast, but yeah, everyone on Pokestats. I mean, obviously, especially Cash for doing what he does. He's an insane grinder, both in the game itself and with the stat stuff. Just could not think of a more like dedicated, hardworking person. And then obviously everyone on Undaunted too. I love all you guys. Love testing with you, talking with you. I cannot wait until we have an actual physical event again and we can all get hammered in a B&B. But awesome. Yeah, that's my shout outs.
Awesome, dude. Thank you for coming on.
Anytime.
I'm sure you'll be back. I'm sure you'll be back.
I'm sure you can't get rid of me, dude.
I think I talk shit about you every episode, so it's good to have you on, man. Thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Awesome, nice. Well, we'll be back Thursday with a Pokemon breakdown. I'm sure Cash won another event, so we'll talk about that, guys. But for now, we're gonna scoop it up.